Welcome to Boozy Sessions. I'm your host, George Schulze, and in this podcast, we will be talking about anything and everything whiskey. In each episode, I will be interviewing a special guest who will be drinking with me, and their whiskey will be delivered to them with the help of Boozy. So thank you so much to Boozy. Boozy guarantees 2-hour delivery in Metro Manila anytime between 9 a.m. to 12 midnight. Shipping is free for orders above 2,000 pesos. So guys, make sure if you're going to order Boozy, get as much alcohol as you can in there. Need that free shipping. They have the best selection of liquor you can find online, especially with whiskeys. Me, myself, I've used it to order Shackleton. It's so efficient, so fast. I love using Boozy. But you know who I love more than Boozy? Just joking, I love them the same amount. Today's special guest is one of local theater's most sought-after actors. Having performed in plays like Rock of Ages, Matilda, in The Heights, where Lin-Manuel Miranda actually directed him, which is awesome. But my favorite thing that he's done, Waitress, where he played the lead opposite Joanna Ampil. He did that with me, and I was the bad guy. So that's a great little story we have together. And most recently, gained internet fame with his performance in Ang Huling El Bimbo, where he played one of the lead actors in the show, Hector. This was streamed online during quarantine, where those who weren't fortunate enough to see the play live were able to see his acting chops on the digital screen. So joining me in the one and only Bibo Reyes.
What is up, my brother?
Cue applause effects. Applause effect.
I appreciate you telling everyone that Lin-Manuel Miranda directed me.
Yeah, people gotta know. You're legit.
He just gave me a couple notes, like literally like maybe 2 sentences and maybe a hug or two. But let's go with that. Let's go with I've worked with him.
People gotta know. Hamilton's big now too. People gotta know you've worked with this guy. So Bibo Reyes, man, you think he's a humble guy. He doesn't say much about his career, but in truth, he's had quite a journey.
We both deserve it, my friend.
Thank
Dude,
you.
I miss you, man.
I miss you too, brother.
I messaged you. This is true. I messaged you like just yesterday about some like geek stuff, just because I needed someone to talk to about it. Yeah. I was like, I need to talk to George about this stuff.
Bibo's very excited about the incoming Batman movie, so
yes,
that's gonna be a thing. But Biebs, the focus of the podcast for today, and as much as I want to talk geek stuff with you, and it's always a pleasure, and basketball stuff. My God, playoffs. One of the things I want to focus on is about the wonderful world of whiskey. Yes, so we're going to go into that, and I'm going to ask you, what was your first drink? How did you enjoy it? And are you a whiskey fan?
First drink, as in first time I tried whiskey?
Well, let's go with first time you tried whiskey, first drink ever. Most of those was beer, I think.
Yeah, just beer in high school was the first
standard beer
ever, probably.
Oh,
yeah.
as a minor?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
As a senior, literally I graduated. I'd say my first try of whiskey. I mean, people will probably shoot me for this. I don't know, but it was probably my friend had me try some Jack or something.
That's very normal. But in general, are you a whiskey fan? Is it a drink that you look for when you're out? Have you do you have much experience? Have you evolved into single malts and stuff?
I'm a whiskey fan, I'd say, because of you and because of a lot of our common friends in theater. There are a lot of whiskey fans in the theater scene, and it's sort of tradition to make baon a whiskey to a cast party and share it with your castmates when you're done with the show.
Well, I mean, for those of you guys at home that didn't know, that is very true in terms of tradition. There's always at least somebody making baon whiskey, because there's always someone bringing in there's this new whiskey that they're trying. So I'm happy to be part of that family, bringing in the whiskeys I work with, which is one of my favorite brands in terms of White Mackay with their whiskeys. You ordered, actually, I did a post on Instagram in my account, and you ordered the Tour of Scotland boozy compilation, which included three of our whiskeys, and that's amazing. Thank you, man.
I just had to, man. And they're amazing, I have to say.
Thank you. We had a Father's Day promo for that.
Yeah. That's honestly why I got it. I got my dad.
No, that's what I wanted to ask. How did you and your dad enjoy? How did you enjoy the whiskeys we got? I believe that was a Jura 12, that was a Shackleton, and a Tamnavolan that you guys got.
I remember asking you first, and I was asking you about the Jura just because I'm a sucker for branding, and I like the way it looked. I like the way the bottle looked. And you were like, Jura's a bit like smoky, you know, it's maybe not like an entry level one. And I have to say you were right about that, because not that I didn't like it. It's just like I was like, okay, this definitely does not taste like your base, like basic whiskey for your standard soy boy, you know.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Jura is it in terms of smoke. It's so subtle. I would actually go as far as to say that Jura is less smoky and more vibrant and sweet. The smoke is just like a little bit of, because you can imagine it's made on the islands, and on the islands their focus is really on heavy peat. But Jura's peat is not heavy at all. But
Okay,
that's why it's
what
such
does
a
peat
great.
mean?
So peat is basically what they use to smoke the barley when they're making whiskey, and when they use peat, that really, that they call it that peat flavor, but peat is essentially, basically think of it like the charcoal that they smoke, but it's not charcoal, but they're smoking it with that, so it really imparts that peat flavor. Yeah, how did you like Tamnavulin? Did you get to try all three? Tamnavulin,
Yes,
Shackleton.
I did get to try all three.
Nice.
Tamnavulin, I found a little sweet for me, to be honest, and I found that surprising, because I didn't think that would be my preference. I actually like Shackleton out of all three the most, because it's the most, I don't know, it's the most normal tasting one.
You know what?
It doesn't sound like, you know.
No. Actually, I think I
Yeah.
have like a perfect intro into that. Just because what I love about Shackleton, and allow me to geek out on whiskey for a bit, because for me, what I love about this is not just being able to talk about whiskey, but teach you a little bit as a friend who maybe wants to drink more or evolve in his taste, right? So we'll start with a Shackleton. We'll just go neat. We'll go neat first. Let's really just get it. And of course, you know, like what neat. I don't have to explain to you what neat is, but
Yeah.
the in general, when we're drinking our whiskey, like you'll always hear that, especially here in the Philippines, that you'll always hear like people go like, oh well, what's the proper way to drink your whiskey? Like, I like my whiskey with ice. And you know what? I think that's totally normal, especially in Southeast Asian countries where the climate is warmer. Because the people who say that whiskey is meant to be drank without ice
Yeah.
live in a really,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't care if there's no ice in your drink.
You leave it
Like
outside
in
for a couple minutes and it's cold already.
Exactly. So if you're in Scotland and you're drinking whiskey with ice, it's like that's kind of weird. But if you're in the Philippines and you're in a night out, you want the cold drink, and especially if it's warm or hot, like you want a bit of ice in that drink to go with it, and that's totally normal. So I don't think there should ever be judgment for people who like to drink their whiskey with ice. But I can at least walk you through why why in general the connotation is that there you shouldn't be drinking your whiskey with ice. Why that's like a myth, that and how that evolved and stuff. So Shackleton is in a unique spot because it's actually one of the I'm not, you know what, I don't even think there are other whiskeys that were built to do this, but because of the story of Shackleton is made to be drank with ice. We'll go through the flavor profile. Don't give it a smell yet. We'll go
Okay.
through that together. Because I'm going to teach you
Sorry,
how to
since you
properly.
mentioned smell,
Yes,
is it
sir.
like, you know how like they say when you open a wine you like smell the cork and stuff? Is that not a thing you do with whiskey?
No, not the cork, but the difference between wine and whiskey is you're looking at the ABV. So with wine, you'll see people in wine do, they'll start stirring it and then just nose it and then
Yeah.
spin. And I mean that's cool and all, because for wine you need to open it up like that. You need to get everything moving to really open the alcohol up. But with whiskey, you're already talking about like a 40% ABV, so it doesn't need to be stimulated to get the smell. The only reason why you would sort of swirl it, I guess, is because when you have a full-bodied whiskey, why people swirl it is they'll see the they want to see how the legs, they'll call it, attach to the glass to get the body of that whiskey. So that sort of tells them a little bit of a story about the whiskey as well when it has some body. And on top of that, I mean, the better helps them appreciate the color. But I wouldn't suggest swirling it and then going straight for a smell, because it'll actually be a little bit harsher if you do that. Few tricks about your first, I guess your first date with a whiskey, getting to know it for the first time, right? We're gonna take it on the nose, and this is how we always go about it. So do you have your glass? Have you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Go ahead.
Got my
Pour your
glass right
whiskey.
here.
Pour it neat.
Pour it in there.
We'll start with it.
Okay. How like should it be like an inch or so or?
Well, I mean, you can start a little bit smaller, just so it's not as intense on the
All right,
nose.
let's go metric.
Metric. All right, that's fair. That's Bibo Reyes, ladies and gentlemen. On the eye, you can see the metrics of the pour. But let's go for the nose. This is gonna be the main thing that people go through is when the moment they have a whiskey, they're gonna be tempted to just go right in and smell. And the reason I suggest against that is because on that first pour, there's a lot of ethanol, the alcohol, and that's really concentrated in the center. So you really don't want to just be smelling that aggressively. You want to get your nose in deep, but you want to breathe very lightly with your nose. And this is going to sound a little bit tricky, but once you do it, it's actually not. You breathe in with your mouth together with your nose. So your nose is in it. You're taking it left to right. You're breathing in very lightly with your nose, but you're also breathing in with your mouth. So your mouth will absorb the harshness of the alcohol, and it'll actually really allow you to appreciate what's going on the nose. So we take it left to right, nose and mouth together. And on Shackleton, what's beautiful about the nose about it is it's already really sweet. On the nose, you have vanilla, you have toffee apple, you have cinnamon, and you have like pop of ginger that you're getting there. So
Dude,
get to know it a little bit.
The mouth thing, man. Like,
yeah, man.
About it, taking in the harshness. I definitely like because like I poured it like I could sniff it a little bit. And I was like, whoa, I can really smell that. And then once I did the mouth thing, it was like a different smell completely. Because I have a hard time like identifying certain sense things. I don't know, maybe it's just how my brain is wired. But unless I have like some aid, but because you mentioned the toffee, like I was looking for it this last time that I sniffed it.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel Christmassy right now.
Knowing the flavor profile they're going for really helps you look for those things. We don't all have that £1,000,000 nose. So, I wouldn't be able to just take whiskeys and be able to be like, this is the 12-year. It's hard, right? So this is the second whiskey hack. You talk about whiskey hacks when drinking. We're going to go through the taste now. And we're going to get around maybe half a mouthful, and maybe even less if you want. If half a mouthful sounds a little bit much, we're going to get half a mouthful. Just go like over the tongue, under the tongue, get it everywhere. Okay. So we'll take that together.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Half a mouthful. Okay, so then you swallow. You'll notice off the top of the bat, it's spicy, right? Off the bat.
Yeah.
But the swallow itself was smoother. And now what's left behind is the expression. So this is the way you're actually getting to be like, oh, wow, there are actually flavor profiles I can get here. The swallow of the liquid went down smooth. So it's not all trapped in your throat. Now you have it everywhere in your mouth. You have that whiskey profile. And off the bat here, the sugars immediately come out very sweet. So you have those sweet dried fruits. With Shackleton, the focus is really the glazed pineapple and glazed mango that comes out. And the finish, which happens a couple of seconds after you do that swallow, that's left behind on that finish, is they have hot mulled wine with this. You have chocolate and a very, very small whisper of bonfire smoke. When we're talking about Shackleton, Shackleton is a blended malt of different Highland malts. Highland is a whiskey region in Scotland that really focuses on that like robust flavor. So has a bit of like a smoky touch here, and that sweetness and intensity in flavor is really, really what brings it home. So what I want to talk briefly about with Shackleton before we move on is just I told you it had an amazing story, right? And you could actually watch this documentary in like on YouTube, I think, if you want. It was on National Geographic. But the story of Shackleton is basically about Ernest Shackleton. He is this amazing guy. He's known to be a legendary polar explorer. And he basically, in 1907, he went on this expedition with a goal in mind to be the man who traveled the farthest south in Antarctica. And at that time, it's known as the heroic age of exploration because, there wasn't technology. To go to Antarctica was basically saying, yeah, I'm going to die. I'm going to go on like a death journey, but I'm going to risk my life because I want to accomplish this goal because there was no maps.
Me and my sextant.
Well, yeah, just I'm going to like beat the ice and weather the ice and the storm and everything. So, Shackleton was all about the story of how he gathered a crew to go with him to accomplish that goal of going the farthest south. So he got this crew of like the most like hardened dudes you can imagine who are like, yeah, we're gonna go on this expedition with you. And they make it to Antarctica. And the way he kept his crew together and the way they were bonded and the way he kept his leadership was he ordered at the time McKinley's Old Highland Malt. And that time, well, it was definitely one of the best whiskeys around, and he really brought it as a way to bond his men together. So that whiskey became like the way he would, whenever there were like fights that would break out, or whenever they would celebrate like a birthday or celebrate one of his crew members, having a child at home, they would all come together and they would all drink whiskey, and that's the way they kept warm. As they traveled through south, as they traveled through like the snow, they would drink the whiskey.
By the way, because I've been chugging this stuff down since I bought it.
Yeah,
at your recommendation, and I can honestly say that I don't think I have tasted it until like you just showed me how to like get it all around your mouth.
Taste. Yeah,
dude, it's like a totally different experience.
Now you're getting to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what makes it awesome about drinking Shackleton, right? You're appreciating it. You're knowing the story. You're knowing that like 100 years ago, this guy brought this on a journey with this man where one unfortunate dude celebrated 11 months later. You're bringing this amazing story about that and how he had to leave the whiskey behind in the base camp there, right? He left the whiskey behind because it was too heavy, and his goal was like, okay, we made it south, we accomplished our goals, it's too heavy, we have to leave it. 100 years later, the Antarctic Heritage Trust went there, restored the base camp, and then under the base camp, they found crates of the whiskey that he left behind, like preserved over 100 years in the permafrost, right? So that's the story of it, discovered under ice, where they brought it back home to Richard Patterson, who I told you about, and he recreated it with his nose, the Dalmore guy. He used his nose, recreated it, and made this amazing blend. And that's why he was able to specifically create something that he was like, okay, this was discovered under ice, so it's best served is with ice. Our second try will be putting some ice with the Shackleton and letting that ice sit in and giving it a second nose and a second taste. So let's get that ice in.
Did any of those original bottles survive? Like, have they been like stored somewhere?
They did survive, and if you look at the documentary, like how he had to recreate it, man, he had to like put a syringe in and carefully extract it, you know what I mean, and just making sure all the lid. But so now we have our ice, we have our whiskey a little bit colder, drinking it as it's meant to be drank with its best taste. The flavor profile is strong, so the ice will mellow it out, so it should be like easier on the mouth already. And on that swallow, we should be able to really get that expression. So again, on the nose, one time left to right. The way Richard Patterson does it is he'll really go into this whole thing. It's like, we're treating it like a first date. We're getting to know your whiskey. We're saying hello. We're saying hello. Get it left, right, everywhere. Saying hello. Get to know it. You don't take your first date and you go in strong. And then immediately, like, if you're like, oh, can I if you explain like how you want to drink your whiskey, it's like, you drink your whiskey like that, I'll poke your eyes out. That's what he'll always. That's like his standard stuff. He'll just be like, poke him out, just poke him. But this way, so we'll go left to right. So all right, so we have it on the nose now. Let's take a taste. Get it in that 5 seconds. So one more time, slanchivar.
Cheers, man.
Nice, then we swallow. And already the ice opening it up, already a difference maker, right? In terms of just the expression left behind, like how that went down, and being able to taste it, just having it all over your palate, like a lot of the flavor profile is actually coming out now, and you're getting to see a little bit more of everything.
Like the inside of my mouth is much less tingly right now. I'm bringing it down for the layman.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Much less tingly.
I don't feel like I swallowed fire a little bit.
The spice would hit less. What do you prefer? Over the neat fries? You like it neat.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I love that. And that's what I love about this whiskey, and it's so affordable, and it's really just this great next step as well into
when I posted a picture, because I did try freezing it, because I saw you did on your IG, and when I posted the story of that I froze it, a lot of my friends actually were like, oh my god, I love that. I was like, what? Did I froze it or the whiskey? Was like, they're like both. I'm like, cool.
Oh, nice. The last thing we're gonna do is try it and make our cocktail together. So we actually have the ice, and the ice by now probably should have like melted, or it's just a little bit there, and that's fine. A little bit of ice, no problem. So now, essentially, it's a very, very simple cocktail to make. You just have your Smirnoff Mule, which I have had you prepare beforehand. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Really get that.
But how much do you? How many
in
metric?
I mean, you're the guy to do it. I'm not gonna give you the metric, but I would say like, can I see your Shackleton glass? Pour an equal segment into that. Normally, you pour a bit more Mule than the Shackleton, but just pour an equal segment into that. Like, yeah, just get a healthy number. Then as you drink, I mean, you're able to get it.
All right.
Yeah. So mine kind of like already turns into that. So just in terms of its mixability, and I'm just such a fan of anything ginger, and this brings out, and what's great about the pairing with the Mule is it just also brings out that ginger flavor.
Yeah, because it already has that.
Yeah, it already has a ginger note, so it just goes perfect with whiskey. When in food pairings and everything, you're always talking about parallels. So if the whiskey like kind of has like this like if it's a briny whiskey, like if it's been made by the sea and that brine comes in, then you want to pair it with fish. I mean, really parallel the saltiness of it. That's why whiskey goes so well in general with like your cold cuts, your cheese. It always goes well. And one of my favorite things, and I would love for you to try it one time, dark chocolate, dude. Have some dark chocolate, just pure dark chocolate, and then drink whiskey after. The acidity left behind by the chocolate, and then you mix it in your mouth, and then it all kind of melts together, and then you swallow, and it just really brings out the sweetness of the whiskey in this like amazing way. So again, for our last try of the night of the whiskey, but definitely not our last drink, because we're going to be drinking a bit more in a bit. Cheers, man.
Cheers, my brother.
In that way, it just comes in and already immediately very, very nice way to mix. Very, very nice whiskey to mix around.
Dude, that is great,
different types of cocktail.
It reminds me of like a whiskey sour. I don't know what goes into a whiskey sour, but like it's definitely like the kind of drink I'd like to order, because I suck at ordering cocktails. Like for some reason, when I'm with my friends and when we order drinks, my order ends up being like the girliest looking one. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I was like,
never anything,
and I never end up liking it. Like just honestly, like the taste and stuff. But like this is the kind of cocktail that I wanna order accidentally on purpose. You know what I mean?
It actually has a similar profile to the whiskey sour, but this is a great way to just really enjoy cocktails. And like a lot of people get really like picky about it. It's like, you should never make a whiskey cocktail. Like whiskey is meant to be enjoyed neat or alone. And it's like, no, though, you know what? Right, honestly, with whiskey, and this is like with the biggest whiskey guys in the world who will tell you this: drink whiskey the way you want to, man. So, all right, Beebs, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is less about whiskey and more about drinking whiskey while getting to know you.
Oh, yeah.
So just some questions. No, just simple stuff.
Dude, honestly, I'm kind of a lightweight, and what we've drank so far. Also, I didn't get much sleep last night.
I love that you're a lightweight.
I'm in kind of like the perfect place to be receptive of these questions that you have prepared for me.
Well, I mean, good thing you have the mule, so it's like a little bit watered down, and let's drink our mules together.
And then
once we finish, we watered it down with more alcohol. Let's dive in, man. What have you been up to this whole quarantine, like, and what's the biggest change that you've experienced over the course of the past few months?
Definitely the biggest change is because I mean we're kind of cut from the same cloth in that we're kind of a little more reserved, I've definitely like probably made up like my social media activity for the last 10 years in the last 5 or so months, just out of necessity and out of like just because sayang naman. We'll get to that later, but like, me, like I don't post stuff on Instagram, but like all of a sudden people's like got a story about this thing.
But it's necessity, like you said.
Yeah, dude.
Especially this time.
For sure. And like where would we be without being able to call each other like this over the internet and stuff. The last major thing I did was it's this web series. They call it a vodcast. It's like this narrative like video podcast thing.
Yeah.
Called Love Me Hater by this new company called Connect Podcasts. It features myself and our friend Gab Pangilinan, and yeah, it's a very quaint story about two people who find common ground amidst a pandemic.
Oh
And
wow.
it's just 4 episodes on YouTube. You can check it out. Just search "Love Me Hater," or you can search for "Connect" on YouTube. But probably "Love
Nice.
Me Hater" would be the better search option. And it's great because you know how like I love that because it's all done through like because my character there is like a video blogger, right? He's a
Yeah.
vlogger. So like all the content is like through like a lens of like either a video on YouTube or a phone or a video call and stuff like that.
But for those of you who don't know, Gab Pangilinan is also from Huling El Bimbo. She played opposite Bibo in the lead, and she's amazing. So I'm sure Bibo and Gab would like had like an amazing run. So please catch it
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Dude, you know what it's like when you get
Mhm.
cast like across someone you genuinely get along with and is your friend. So
Yeah,
it makes the
absolutely.
work like not feel like work, honestly.
Did things change for you when Ang Huling El Bimbo streamed online? And did you
Uh,
watch it? How did you see? How did you feel seeing yourself act and knowing that oh man, everybody's gonna watching
yeah,
this right now? Because it
yeah.
popped, man. It popped. How many views did it have by the end of it? Like 3
It,
million, 4
yeah,
million,
dude, it
something like that?
definitely was a huge change based on the simple fact that 7 million people saw my armpits. 7+ million people.
Seven plus
um,
million people loved your
yeah.
armpits. Is what it is.
It was a. I don't know if you're the kind of performer who doesn't like watching themselves, but I have no qualms with doing that just because I want to see what I wasn't so great at or what I maybe succeeded in achieving.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so odd, dude, because it's sort of like it sort of came together within the span of like a couple weeks, I'd say, or maybe a month at the most. Like we found out, oh my god, they're gonna stream it. Okay, whose show? Oh, okay, it's us. All right, what do we? And then you
Yeah.
feel, I mean, and you know what it's like to prepare for a show, man.
Yeah.
You get
Absolutely.
your stuff
Absolutely.
together. You prepare. Your costumes, everything, your props. Make sure it's all there. Make sure just make sure everything, all the million things that need to go right are set to go right.
Yeah.
And to have that feeling of anxiety that you're about to do the show, but without the control because you already did it. Like that's the show, and like you feel like you're about to go on, but then you're not. It's the oddest feeling on earth. Like
Yeah.
when we were waiting for that premiere, we were like, why do I feel so nervous? Like I'm not gonna do anything. I'm literally just gonna watch this thing. But then but then we were so anxious going into it.
How was it like halfway through it, like intermission? Did everything normalize? Were you like, okay, cool, like I'm not actually performing right now, I'm just watching? I'm
Yeah.
sure it
No.
kind of just felt like kind of cool after a while to be like, wow, all right, nice. Because
Yeah.
you've seen your alternate do the show. So it's
Yeah.
like not like you haven't
Exactly.
seen
I know.
the show.
Yeah. Yeah, intermission was like when we finally got to breathe, I'd say, because also like the young characters, for the people who don't know, they were like they're a set of young characters, and then in the second act it's more their older selves who are played by different actors. By the halfway point, by intermission in
Yeah.
the show, our the bulk of our jobs are kind of done, and we just come in like some key bits during the second act. And yeah, by the time intermission rolled along, my armpits were super sweaty, and you felt like you just got through the most nerve-wracking hour of your of your life.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. But props to you in terms of and I'm just gonna like throw this out there that like everyone in theater puts in the work.
Yes,
The
sir.
theater world right now, and I'm just gonna of course like while we're discussing this, the theater world right now is in a rough spot. I mean like Broadway, West End, Philippine theater, everything's hit pretty hard with everything going on. So like so already just in general, when something theatrical, some local work's been done, just like what you guys did with Bimbo, gets recognized and noticed, it's such a step forward for
Yeah,
an industry that already I mean has to put so much effort just to take
yeah.
a tiny step forward. So
Definitely,
I'm
it's the
really
best thing to come out of the whole thing, man.
yeah
Because like we got him. it's always been so difficult to try and get people convinced that you're gonna enjoy this experience if you give it a chance. You don't have to go see a movie this weekend. You can check out the theater and see something live and something you may have not experienced before. It's always such a hard. It's been such a hard sell in our experience, right? Like in the local industry, but like we got them. Like we got like a good portion of the young people on Twitter who are so like the ones who make the memes out of out of the things they see in the show and stuff. We got them. We just need this pandemic to be over so that we can actually stage some shows and they can finally, watch our shows.
Absolutely. And I hope that's an interesting point that you bring up. I'm already sort of like, because like I've been drinking a bit, like sort of like, but I hope that's exactly what happens after this is all done. I do hope that people do come out to see the shows and see that, hey man, you know what, the Filipino actors are actually very talented and they do a lot of work. And one of the biggest comparisons we get in terms of people who compare us to, like, I mean, you can't compare the training that people in New York receive or in the West End, but what you can't compare with them to us is because our shows don't last as long. More often than not, we have more heart because every show is like our last. I mean, for Broadway, for the West End, you're building for longevity, so you're creating a performance that's sustainable. Whereas compared to Philippine theater, you're running for a month only on weekends, so every show is like, it's, I want to say, I'm just gonna say balls to the wall, dude. It is just all out. It's going there. It's getting to that level and of just like, I'm gonna give this everything I have. Okay, on the note of theater, what got you in the theater? Has it always been a dream of yours since you were a kid?
Not really. It was just because I knew I wanted to perform in college, and you know how every kid trying to be cool had a band in high school. Band. And then I thought I would be in a band in college, and it turns out I was on the stage in college instead.
Well, that's the high school musical choice most people make, right? It's either band and music or like sports and music, and you got to choose. What are you gonna pick? Is it gonna be theater?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. High School Musical 3 is one of my biggest guilty pleasure movies.
Dude, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I say as I drink whiskey.
I just hate because you brought up the like Troy's dilemma. I hate the way he delivers his line at graduation. He was like, "I'm choosing basketball, but I also choose theater." Like,
it's like, come on, Troy. Okay, I'm gonna go to our last question, dude. Before we do my favorite part of this, which is gonna be truth or drink. Get ready for that. What do you think the future of theater is with all of the pandemic happening, and what do you miss the most about live theater?
I don't know about the future. Like obviously, like it's 1 + 1 = 2, man. Like you can't have a live audience. So until this pandemic's done, that's the future of theater, is this pandemic ending. Right now, we got some Band-Aid solutions, things that will work for now, doing things online, getting creative with doing things online. A lot of people have been playing with like mediums like these a lot, like the conference call stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not the same just because you're not engaging with a live audience. Until we have enough internet and enough, first world technology to have like the Thunderdome in WWE and the Microsoft Team audience in the NBA for a live performance, you're never going to get an approximation of that live experience. And even that those examples aren't, I'm sure they don't come close for all the athletes involved. It's not the one. There's one thing about a live theater, and what I miss about it is, it's that live experience, that live give and take of energy between audience and theater. One thing that our director Bobby has taught me is that the audience is as much a part of a show as anyone. He always says they're the last component, they're the last thing to come in that completes the show, because that's the reason like sitcoms have a laugh track, right? It's because it's the setup and then the reaction. And if you don't have that give and take of energy and discipline, honestly, because an audience has to sit there and be quiet for 2 hours and respond to you, then it's not going to be the same if you don't have that exchange.
On that note, one thing like I want to use this to be able to bring up is, and for anybody watching a theater show here, just know that you cannot ever underestimate how the audience impacts the performers. I mean, if that audience is like giving you energy and they're laughing and they're going, you're gonna see one of the performer's best shows of his life because you're throwing him energy and he feels it on stage and he gets that. If you're a quiet audience that isn't responding to anything, like it's gonna feel dead and the exchange won't be as palpable.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I totally get that, man.
I mean, we're taught to like,
totally right.
To serve the product and and do the show like the way it's meant to be done, no matter what. It's just that it's that extra. I know what you're talking about. It's like it's not that you'll work harder. It's just that there's that extra something that just happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the times that extra something is just that one audience member who decides, I don't care, I'm gonna laugh as loud as I want. And then everybody follows. But if they don't have that catalyst audience member, they're all just like, I mean, they're laughing to themselves, but I mean, that out loud laughter just it makes the
AKA Lea Salonga on opening nights.
Lea Salonga on opening nights, definitely. It's right now. It's a point of like go digital or fade out. I mean, you have to. It's a necessity. Like you brought up, this wasn't a necessity before everything, but now it is. So I mean, like, swallow it up. If ever you're in the industry or if you want to work, like you have to be going digital at this point because we can't tell how long any of this is gonna last and. I mean, I'm just going to say also, if you're at home and going digital and want to drink, you can use Boozy to order your drinks. And then you can like go digital while ordering Boozy.
Dude, this is not some like shameless plug or whatever.
It's not.
They're so convenient.
Like Boozy's so convenient. That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
oh, it's here.
We're going to move on to our next segment, which is Truth or Drink. It's going to be me asking Bibo some questions, Bibo asking questions back. And if we either answer that question or take a shot or take a swig. Fine?
That's fine. Where am I going to go?
There you go, man. So, all right. Like I'm not going to dictate how healthy a pour you should take a swig of. But if you don't want to answer the question, that's fine. Just take a swig. But these questions, I'm telling you, they're questions. Let me just say that. Okay, all
right.
First question is, who is the worst actor you ever shared the stage with? Who is the worst actor? I'm giving you a lifeline. If you want to throw me under the bus, like go ahead. It's like, I'll take it. Who is the worst actor?
Oh man!
Ever shared the stage
I want to like try to sneak it in, like just so
part of you wants to answer because you know
get it. You know what I mean?
You always know.
Right,
you always know who that worst is. I feel like. Okay, I feel like you and I might have the same.
Yeah. There you go.
I feel like we might have the same one, but either say that out loud or take your drink, man.
Fine, I'll take my drink, but I'm glad that you at least know my answer.
But what if we're talking about totally different people? I don't know, man.
I know who you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I'll take a drink for you with that one too, man, because I'm just guilty.
some solidarity.
Okay. All right. Next question. I mean, actually, it's your question to me.
Oh, okay. Dude, mine are gonna suck. Mine are gonna be like real sophomoric and
sophomoric
and like about boogers and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
So you did Beautiful in 2019, right?
I did.
And your scene partner, your romantic scene partner in that show was one of our great friends, one of my best friends, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey Bradshaw. Volante.
Yeah, and so, and you guys had a kissing scene during that show.
We did.
How many times were you just too lazy to brush your teeth before the show? We're kissing Mickey.
Okay, all right. You know what? I would love to take a drink. I'm going to take a drink anyway, but I'm going to answer this in that I always, when I have a kissing scene with a girl on stage and with guys, because I've actually like it's really I'm very straight. I have a girlfriend. Like, I mean, it's the last thing I've ever wanted to do. But in theater, the position puts you in. But I always want to be a considerate scene partner. So before the scene, Mickey and I would kiss. I always have mints at the ready. And especially Fisherman's Friend, because Fisherman's Friend, it's the theater actor's best friend. Like, I mean, it helps your breath, and on top of that, it's a lozenge, so it kind of, I mean, you also get your throat a little bit like lubricated.
Mm-hmm.
So before that scene, I would always make sure I had some mint.
Okay.
So that's your answer. But I will drink. I will drink. I will drink anyway. I will drink anyway.
But I asked brushing your teeth though.
Mm.
I asked very specific.
I don't brush my teeth before the scene. I brush my teeth in the morning and at night. And sometimes after a big meal, but not necessarily before scenes, because I want them to be able to get whatever is on my teeth.
Yeah, we want them to know what you had for dinner, man.
My next question. This is hilarious. Man, you could just drink here. On the note of actors you've kissed, of all the actors you have kissed on stage, who do you want to kiss again this time off stage?
I hate that off stage caveat.
I hate it too, but hey man,
like came up with these things.
I just want you drunk. I just want you
twice
drunk
for this. That's ridiculous. All of them. Just kidding. No.
Bigger swig, dude. A bigger swig, please. All right, there you go. There you go. All right, next question you might have for me.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't know why it's all toilet humor is the best I can come up with in short notice. How many times did you go to the bathroom thinking you were all good and realize you had an entrance? Pala, you just had to just bolt to the stage without washing your hands, mid pee.
Oh my god. Surprisingly, I'm a lot of things in terms of being klutzy and goofy. But when it comes to my stage cues, there is ne'er a time where I've actually ne'er a time where I've not been prepared for it. Like, because I'm a very paranoid person, and like, so whenever my stage cue's near, like I have routines set throughout the show. So like I'll be doing kind of a similar thing every time. But I'm gonna drink again for that. I'm getting a little bit lightheaded. I'm not gonna lie. This is like just a lot of whiskey. I'm taking big swigs.
I want to get that image of you just like mid pee, realizing you have to go on.
Yeah.
It's like peeing all over the place. Oh crap!
No, that's never happened. But there are a few times we can go about this a different time. There are a few times where I've been so prepared to go on stage that I come in and say the wrong line. Like in Beautiful, I did that a couple of times because in Beautiful, my character had a lot of tics. So he had two lines that were very similar, but in way different parts of the show.
Those are the worst.
But there was one time where I did this scene where just I came in filled with energy, and I just said the complete. I said the line from the scene like 10 scenes later.
Oh no!
Because it has the same energy, and it's kind of a running gag. And it completely phased me, and Mickey on stage almost broke.
Oh damn! She was dying. I heard of that, man.
Oh man, like I'll tell you about it one time. But all right. Anyway.
All right. Next question.
Next question. Choose one with no explanations needed. Blue Rep or Atlantis?
Atlantis.
Not even.
Come on.
Not even like a. Not even a. It's You can't compare Atlantis.
I mean, Blue Rep was my breeding ground. That's where I cut my teeth, and I miss all the people that I experienced all of that with in college. College was a great
and Blue Rep has produced some great people.
Dude, they are up there now.
Great people, man, in terms of a breeding ground, as you call it. So I can agree with that's a fair choice. Like Blue Rep's a college. It's college, right? So like,
and I mean personally, that's my choice because like college comes with all its baggage, all that history. So
yeah, college comes with not being able to separate kissing girls from
I will not say no to this. I after I ordered the whiskeys from Boozy, I did my what research I could, about how like stingy they are, about how it's only this brand if it's made in this place in this way, all that stuff. So I'm glad to like get into like the practical stuff about it because like you don't really find those resources a lot online. It's a lot of what like just the smelling and the tasting and the reviewing, but not so much like really introducing people to like the culture, like I'm sure it's there, but like what you first find is like the reviews and stuff, and like just the origins and stuff like that. But like in terms of
thanks,
like,
man. I appreciate that.
I was super excited.
Absolutely agree.
This has been great, dude.
Yeah, it's fun to just hang out as homies, and like it's like I already get excited talking about whiskey to like people I've never met, you know. So when I get to introduce it to friends, Mara likes to call it my whiskey personality that comes out because like I geek out, you know, like it's like you talking about WWE or you talking about, you know, I mean, like I guess now the like basketball or Dwight Howard. Bibo's the biggest fan of Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
So you like you talking about the things you love. It just comes out. So we'll go with our last question. And it's just going to be a simple one that I hope is easy to answer without taking a drink. Because if you take a drink, I'm going to like cry a little bit in my sleep later. But what do you really think about the whiskey we had?
What we have?
The whiskey we just drank together.
Dude, I said it all, man. Like,
yeah.
None of that was like prepared or anything. Just because like I genuinely like I mentioned not to you know put down any other brands or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I mentioned like my intro whiskey is everyone's intro whiskey, and you think that's what it is, and it's technically like a bourbon, right? But even that's disputed or something. I might be mistaken in that. But like, once I got to try Shackleton specifically, like I don't mind Jura and Tame Valena probably like work up to those at some point, but Shackleton definitely is my jam.
But
and
tell you what, when you do want to work up to them, I'll join you for it and help you. I'll help you appreciate like, and we'll go through it together as well if ever you want to get like evolve into them so that I can like kind of prepare you for what you're tasting as well.
But for real, and for honestly, like I mentioned, like my friends who saw like my post when I posted that I had a bottle. They were they genuinely went out of their way to tell me about how much they enjoy this particular brand. So it's not lip service when I say that. And I'm not really a drinker.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so this is something that's pretty new to me or like kind of foreign to me, but I can totally appreciate it and I super enjoy it. And you know, it's definitely, I would say, like a good thing to get into during quarantine because again, where are we gonna go? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? That's the best way to put it. Right. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, but just plug anything you want to about your life. What's going on?
Hi. This has been Bibo Reyes. Please follow me on my socials at Bibo Reyes on Twitter, at Bibo Las Vegas on Instagram. I don't know what's gonna come out soon, but you can catch Love Me Hater on YouTube. Just search Love Me Hater. It's only 4 episodes. It's an easy watch. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna appreciate it. Hopefully, the work that we put into that. We've already announced this, so I'm pretty sure I can say this here. For anyone who's abroad, overseas, and you weren't able to catch Ang Huling El Bimbo and its original 2-day stream on YouTube, it's going to be available on the Filipino channel in overseas territories for pay-per-view in September, I believe. So be sure to check that out when it comes out. And just keep supporting the arts, keep supporting theater, keep supporting people who give of themselves and try to make the world a better place by trying to make themselves better.
Okay. All right. Beautifully said. And please also keep supporting your whiskey life. And you can do that by ordering on Boozy.com. And again, thank you for joining us today, Bibo. This has been Booby. Come on, dude. This has been Boozy Sessions. Like perfect till the end, right? This has been Boozy Sessions. Again, my name is George Schulze. Wishing you all good health. And I'm going to pour just a little bit more alcohol to say Slanjivar.
What's that?
Slanjivar. Slanjivar. It's Slanjivar. It's like it's kind of like wishing good health in like an old Scot, you know. So it's like what they say when they cheers.
And I want to say congratulations on this podcast, brother.
Hey, thanks, man. I mean, I'm happy to have you as the first person on it.
Honored.